tell me about the film. It was so it was originally going to be like something completely different, right?
Um, yeah, kind of. Okay, so originally when it was written, it was, we're going to be pitched and trying to give it to a big place to be able to make it. Um, and it was like the goal was to have like this multi-genre type of like comedy meets drama meets some thriller in there. Uh, but it was still a story about these three women that, steal some wine and drink the wine, wake up in an alternate reality. They each still pretty much had their stories. Just the person that I played that has the miscarriage and meets this little girl, I hadn't ever actually experienced that when I originally wrote it. So it was just an idea back then.
So um, like I know that you've written and starred in a couple of your own projects over the years in the past. Why did you decide to direct this one?
That's a great question. So my manager actually wanted me to direct something. He asked me originally when I told him about this project, why am I not directing it? And I was like, because this is my honest answer. I was like, I don't know what a director does. I mean, I like it, so so many years, but it's like you think about it, and then you're like, wait, what is the director even like? What do they do? I don't know how to do that. So I just, yeah, I was just like, no, no, no. Like I usually hire someone to direct it because I knew I wanted to act in it, and it just seems easier. But when this actually happened to me, and then I changed the story around to fit real events, then I kind of felt like this was like finally the directing calling, right? I was like, okay, this is my story. I mean, no one's gonna tell it quite the way like I'm going to tell it since now it's based on true events. So I'll go ahead and give this one a shot.
So so talking about the true events, like you originally were doing like this documentary, right? And then you molded that into that previous story you just told about, right?
Yeah, so originally just the script was written as a regular screenplay. And then when I got pregnant, we started filming a docu-reality, and we did like 5 episodes of it, like 5 months into the pregnancy. And it was just supposed to be kind of a fun, like it was called 40 and Pregnant, and it was just supposed to be the events of this 40-year-old woman going through another pregnancy, having kids, and just kind of a fun, light family type of thing. And then yeah, and then when we lost the pregnancy, obviously I stopped filming it. But then I had all this footage, and it was just so ironic how it kind of fit in with this story that I had written a year before. And so yeah, I just kind of occurred to me at one point, I was like, I wonder if in all these flashback moments I actually use these events that we had filmed from the docu-reality in the narrative as my character's memories of when she was actually pregnant. So, I mean, I think it worked out. It was definitely kind of a risk. Like I'm kind of gonna mold this essentially reality footage with a narrative story and throw it in there. Which did things like my husband had to play my husband in the narrative, and he's not an actor, and bless his heart, he did the best job he could. But because he was my husband in the other footage, we had to match it, right? So things like that happen.
I thought he did great,
Um,
by the way. I thought Matt was
Thank you.
good.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think I think he did fine. I don't know. I'm not the one to critique him.
So how do you like? How did you prepare to direct this? Do you like do like camera shots, or did you like know where you wanted to put certain like the camera and like how did you sort of like start out like not being a
Learn,
director, not even having ever
right.
like thought about it?
Exactly. Okay, so it first started with me asking people and going, "Hey, like, what does the director do?" and then people explaining to me, "Okay, well, you're going to work with your actors," which that part I knew how to do, thankfully. And you're going to work with your cinematographer and your first AD and your lighting department and everything. So basically, David Guttel, who directed my other two projects, he so graciously agreed to be my assistant director on this project. So he gave me a lot of insight and stuff too as we walked through it. Thank God he was my first AD, so I could, ask him a lot of questions. Um, and basically, yeah, we just went through and I learned how to make a shot list, and I learned how to decide, what I wanted everything to look like, and learned a little bit about, what equipment do we need for that then, and worked. Basically, it was like my AD and my cinematographer, David and Taylor, coming to my house. We walked through every scene, where it was going to be, how it was going to be, what the lighting was going to be. And so a lot of prep work, I think, especially when you're going to be acting in it as well, just preparation, 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 because you're not going to have time to do other stuff when you're also trying to be in hair and makeup and wardrobe to act in the next scene, right?
So, I know if it were me, if I like wrote and were directing something and, I was like the lead actor, and we shot a scene, I'd be like, you guys, you were great. Me, I suck. Let's do it another 10 times. How did you, as actors, we're all me, 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 me. You were good. Me, 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 me. How did you get over that part of your brain and say, all right, we got to move on?
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, you kind of just can't watch yourself and have to trust other people's advice. I would ask all the time, David, my AD, a script supervisor, what do you think was the best take? Or what do and I think just naturally I would put my attention more on the other actors. And then just hope I didn't suck. I don't, because it's hard. You can't critique yourself necessarily, right? And because if you do, you find everything wrong with it. The hardest scene to do that was in the movie theater room, and it's this very sad scene, and I'm acting with Angela Relucio, who was incredible, incredible in the scene. And, having to watch the playbacks of that and having to be so emotional and cry. And, it was hard because it had really happened. It wasn't just a story I wrote and could pop myself out of. It was like my real life that I had experienced. So it was like, you can't totally pop yourself out of it, right? Because it's part of your history. So I think that was probably the hardest one, to not critique that. And that was just truly relying on the team and everybody else there to be like, we got it or we don't got it. Because I couldn't really even watch it back.
I was there that day. I wasn't watching the filming. I was probably at craft services eating all the food. But like for that one, especially that scene, like did you watch playback, or were you just like, you were just like, I just want to concentrate on this thing. You guys deal with that part. Me and Angela are just going to sit here and do the scene.
They would play it back for me. And honestly, I think I did the best I could to watch it and critique, but there was probably a lot of like me just staring at it, not really watching it, and then being like, okay, yeah, that's good, let's move on. Because, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of hard. I think it's kind of hard anyways until you're sitting there in the editing room to go, did we really get it? But, it was great because our producer Donald had other people in there that were editing while we were filming. So I would be able to watch these playbacks either later in the day or the next day. And that really helped a lot to be able to see, what we were getting, what we weren't getting.
So tell me about like casting. What was it like to be on the other side of the table? Is there, I guess, first of all, did you learn anything watching the auditions that you kind of now apply to your auditions now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love casting. I think because being an actor, right, naturally, I think casting's so fun. And thank you for your help. You were there, and that's actually how you got cast, because you read like so much better than everyone that came in, like as the reader. Thank you for being there, because that's how we were like, wait, Lance should really be playing this role because you were like so good. But yeah, learning, I think, one, just learning to connect with the material, learning that it's not about you, it's about what you have to serve to the material and to the character. Because when all these people came in and read, and I learned this specifically because it was, I think, a true story, is that I'm really looking for the people that are connecting to the material, that aren't just coming in to perform, necessarily for me, but that are coming in. Gosh, who was it? We didn't end up casting her because the schedules didn't work out. You've worked with her though. She works in a lot of theater in San Diego. What is her name? Blonde
Oh, yeah,
hair.
Allison.
Yes.
Yes.
What is her last name? Anyway, she was amazing, because here's something she did that really stood out.
Allison
She
Pratt.
did. Yes, Allison Pratt.
Allison Spratt.
Pratt?
Allison Pierce. Allison Pratt Pierce.
Pierce.
Yes.
That sounds
Yes.
better. We're close. Yeah. She was amazing because, and unfortunately she wasn't even ended up in the movie, but I would love for her to be in something else in the future. She sat down afterwards and like really just, were you there when she did this? And she just talked to
Yeah.
me about it and connected, and felt I could just see it in her eyes. And that just told me that was it was like, this is, she's going to be a great actor in this, that it's going to be something good, because they're not just coming into audition, they're not just coming into perform. Because I think as an actor we do that, right? We're like, we prepare and then we go, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I have prepared, and you go in and like you do your thing and then you like pop out and you're done. But when it becomes this human experience where you're connecting with the person that you're, one, reading with, and two, that's trying to cast you, and it's about this collaborative thing of making something, then you've stepped out of that zone, like you appear, I don't know, just more passionate about it than everybody else. And yeah, I don't know, you stick out in a good way.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to say.
What about self tapes? Because I know you watched like a ton of self tapes too. Was there anything like that you could like? How did you say, all right, I want to bring that guy in, that guy in, that guy in? Like, is there something that like that you took from that you now apply to that? Because I have like self tapes and me, we just don't mesh usually.
Really? Really? I bet your self tapes are fine. No, I think first of all, I think there's like two categories. There's like professional and not, right? So you can tell like when the lighting is right, the camera is right, it's crisp, you can hear them really well, it's a nice, solid background. And just the production quality looks really good. I feel like I mean, there's so much you can do now that up that production quality, and it automatically people just engage better than if it's like all grainy and dark and they're like in their bathroom, and then you're just like, like it just doesn't look professional. So I'd say making sure it looks really professional and crisp, and then just having fun with it. People use props, people change their outfits, and those are the people that really stood out. But at the end of the day too, it's just the talent, and the preparation and the skill level. Some people, have been doing this for a long time and you can see it, and
Mhm.
they're just really good.
So, like, why did you actually decide to start producing your own stuff? I mean, back like from stay-at-home mom and the other things that you've done. Why did you actually start wanting to do that?
So stay-at-home mom was the first thing, and it was a couple different things. One, I always wanted to know what it was like to be behind the camera, because I'd always been in front of the camera, and I don't know. I think it was just a new take on it that I was like, what does that guy with the camera do? What do these lighting people do? Just for me to learn. The other thing was I needed a new reel. So it was like, right, like I had taken like a few years off. I had children. I was a mom now. Everything I had was from being like, playing 18 to 25, which I wasn't going to play anymore. So I needed a new reel. And I just kind of thought, well, I have this thing that I wrote. It kind of fits the type of reel I want. So let's just try and make it. And I didn't know that it would lead into continually making things like this. It was originally just going to be kind of a one-time try at it.
Yeah. So, are you gonna? Obviously, you're gonna keep on doing this, right?
No, this
Are you
is
gonna
the
keep on
last one.
directing?
No, just
Yeah, yeah.
kidding.
No more. Are you gonna keep on directing as well? You have the directing bug.
I would love to, especially like my own writing. There's something about being able to direct your writing as a writer that's so cool, because you obviously picture this when you're writing it, so to really like get to a set and like actually get to, say that this is how I want this to look and this is how we're going to do this. It's really fun. So yeah, I would love to direct again. Specifically something I wrote. I think it'd be harder to direct someone else's writing, but I take a stab at it. But yeah, no, I think I'll always continue to make stuff, just because unless I'm like always going to work for the rest of my life, which that never happens. So in between, like really, getting on other stuff, it's just such a great way to stay busy and to learn and to meet new people. And then you have this new calling card of something you made. So yeah, and I think I just love it. I like the freedom of being able to do it how you want to do it when it's your own project. So it's kind of, it's freeing to be able to do that.
And then most of these things you put your own money into it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Like the first one was I saved to make my first project, but then that generated some money, and then the next one generates some money, and you put it back in, and so
Is
yeah.
that
But for the
scary?
most part, to like think you're gonna lose money.
Yeah.
I mean, no more scary than this whole business and thinking you may not get a job. I mean, it's all a gamble, right? But I also look at it this way, you know, even if you don't make money back, you essentially paid for a class, right? Like you paid for Reel or your own, you know, new stuff. You paid to network and meet people. So, I mean, I don't really think it's a loss. Now, I guess if I was like putting my house on the line or something, then it would be really scary. But
Mhm.
I don't put like money in that like I need to live. So, I guess it's not that scary.
Mm. Well, congratulations on the film. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for being a part of it, by the way. You were amazing in it yourself.
well,
So,
thank you for
someone needs
inviting
to
me to
interview you.
be, well, well, thank you for inviting me to be in it. And yeah, and I look forward to talking to you again in probably another 5 minutes when we're off this thing. So.
Thank you so much.